Liverpool versus Como has just finished. So let's go through talking points, analysis. Happy, reasons to be happy, reasons not to be happy. Overall, I am relatively happy. Been a theme in pre-season that continued a little bit today. We were excellent first half, then just lost a bit of the intensity in the second half. However, I feel as the season goes on, that will change, as in the players will get more used to running for 60 minutes to 90 rather than 30, 40 minutes. I think that's to come. Start on Jeremy Jacquet. Jesus, from his first touch, had it around here, knocked it past two players, and then played a pass. You could tell that he's the real deal. Obviously got his goal, but I won't focus on his goal because I feel like what he did on the ball, playing out, and especially defensively, completely outweighed that. I feel like when Ronald Araujo came on, he didn't do anything incredibly wrong, but I think there was just a little bit of a gap in ability between those two. But again, not huge gap, nothing that I'm incredibly worried about. Um, Same press shape as before. We had the two wingers down here. It's there, up there. And that brings me to Ryan Gravenberch. A little bit of a negative, I think. I think on the ball, good enough, but that's not good. But I feel like off the ball, he just got caught a little bit high in the press on occasions. Maybe left us. There was a point where I'll use Chiesa as a Como player. There was a point where our midfield three was spread along there, and then you had three Como players here, just completely away from them. It almost looked too easy, and I feel like playing against better opposition in the Premier League, they're gonna capitalise on that. Jeremy Jacquet, so happy for him, fans chanting his name. And I feel like a big worry when you bring players in from other countries is can they handle the physicality of the league? We saw it last year a lot with Wirtz and Frimpong. But I think he can. I know we haven't seen him in the Premier League, but he was manhandling people out there today. Such a positive sign. And moving on to Jeremy Frimpong. Wow. His involvement in the goal, spectacular. But I also think defensively, he had an amazing tackle. I think the ball had just got by the two. Free shot, and Frimpong came in just in the 18-yard box and made an amazing challenge. Again, he had his guy locked up over on that right-hand side. There was a couple of times he tried to beat him on the outside, but with Frimpong's pace, that's not something you're going to be able to do. And yeah, I thought he was really good defensively, good going forward, a good balance of both. I feel like with Areola, it's quite heavy on maybe one fullback fully commits up here, and then the other kind of stays prepared to head back. You never really saw under slot where Frimpong's instruction was almost to be that high up no matter what, and Kerkez's instruction was to drop into the back three. At the start of the season, then he flipped up a little bit, but we were still shit, so it doesn't matter. We're past slot now. Wirtz just, I think a big shift in this season from last is his confidence. A lot more like take-ons, a lot more little bits of skill every here and there, a lot more kind of positivity, and a lot more sort of selfishness. Because not in a bad way at all. Because last season he was too selfless. He wasn't taking shots on. He wasn't taking a man on himself. He was just finding the pass over and over and over again, and it became quite frustrating to watch. However, this year I feel like it's really going to be him and Isak. It's going to be their year. So much more confidence in the two of them. They're so much more involved going forward. It's perfect. A thing I noticed in the first half though was Rio wasn't involved as much as you'd maybe like him to be, and I think that is to do with Jeremy Frimpong. The main difference between Kerkez and Frimpong is Frimpong likes to hug that touchline, overlap, whereas Kerkez likes to. He does like it on the overlap, but he's a lot more inclined to just be here and chill. And I feel like Gakpo likes to be inside. There was a couple of times where I think Gravenberch, Szoboszlai maybe had it over here, and there was just a massive green space out wide. But Gakpo had drawn the fullback quite narrow. I think it happened maybe 2 or 3 times. Whereas if you switch them like that, Gakpo gets to be inside because Frimpong is always going to be on the outside of him, and Kerkez can do what he wants for being here with the occasional overlap, and Engamoa can be your touchline hugging winger to kind of support that system. But again, Gakpo was good. He had a tidy finish for the goal. He seems to have unlocked a new skill move. He used a step over, which is nice. I'm not really that invested in Gakpo's performance because it is looking like he's out the door. A bit of a negative would be Gravenberch. I've already touched on him. I feel like we just need to bring in another true six as almost like a safety net. If Gravenberch isn't working throughout the season, you just start that guy instead. However, getting forward in the press, maybe it's a managerial instruction. I would doubt it because from where I'm sitting, it looks a little bit stupid. But maybe it is just follow your man wherever, and then even if that leaves us with looking like this, with this massive gap in the middle, we just got to tank that. But I'd be very surprised if that was the instruction. And yeah, I think that's pretty much. This is quite a short video. I feel like I'm speaking really quickly. Szoboszlai good again, set pieces, Van Dijk looks like his normal self. Another thing actually with Kerkez is a big difference from then until last season. Sorry, from now until last season. What am I saying? A big difference between him now and him last season was we saw him getting the early crossing, and the quality of the cross could improve. But I also think maybe our presence in the box when receiving the cross could improve as well. One that springs to mind was from his time at Bournemouth, actually. They were playing Spurs and he had it genuinely on the halfway line. Played a beautiful ball all the way over to here and they scored from it. I just want to see more of that. And I feel like today, more than any preseason game, we saw Kerkez firing in those quick passes. I think that's all I've got. Positives. Dominated the first half. Vitz and Isak very confident. Frimpong showing that he can be a starter. Jeremy Jacquet with one of the best debuts we have seen in a while in a red shirt. Maybe negatives. Gravenberch maybe struggling out of possession. I think he was good in possession. I think that goes without saying. Gravenberch's maybe struggling out of possession. Engamoa not really involved. And again, a little bit of a tail off in the second half. And then maybe that gap in ability between Araujo and Jacquet. But then again, we've only seen 45 minutes of both of them, so maybe it's just Jackie's played the best football of his life and Araujo's had a bit of an off day. And we might get to November and be saying what a signing Araujo was. But overall, I think the main thing to take away is I just enjoyed watching my team. And I think after last season, we can all enjoy watching Liverpool again because we're starting to look a little bit more like our old selves and we're starting to look a little bit more positive. And with the addition of Barcola, maybe in buy, maybe a midfielder, hopefully a midfielder, um, and then possibly a defender, I think as well. With those additions, either now or maybe I think some of them, maybe like Barcola, maybe that second attacker, can maybe wait until January. But I feel like if you bring in Barcola, I'll use Wharton as an example, and you bring in Wharton or a true six, someone physical, someone who doesn't mind just not joining the press as much, not joining the attack as much. I think Wharton does that, even though he lacks a little bit of physicality. This video is not about Wharton. If you do those two, then I think another defender and another winger or striker can wait until January. And I think that team will do us some good this season. Top 3 finish is what I'm hoping for. And again, there is zero difference between second and fifth. So who knows? I'd be winning the league. I'd be euphoric. I'd be delighted with a top 3 finish. I'd be satisfactory with fourth or fifth. I'd be Iraola out after one season if we come anywhere lower than fifth, because that is just the standard. You've got to hold a Liverpool manager too. However, in saying that, I don't think that'll happen. I think this manager's here for the long haul, and I'm excited. So yeah, did enjoy the usual. Bye. and subscribe, and I will see you boys in the next one.